In this video, I'll demonstrate ladderback jacquard. Ladderback jacquard in knitting is a way of securing long floats in stranded knitting on the wrong side of the work so that the floats are not as floppy. Here's a hat where I used ladderback jacquard, and the green floats are quite long, but I used ladderback jacquard to secure them in this section. And the floats are not at all visible on the right side of the work, and where I secured the final ladder back stitch is also not visible on the right side of the work. You use this method when stranded knitting makes the most sense for the bulk of the pattern. If you have sections where some series of floats are going to be quite long, then this comes in very handy to secure those long floats. I wouldn't use it where the long floats appear in just a row or two because there's not enough really there to secure a ladder back column. But you can add these wherever they are needed and secure them whenever they are done being needed. What I'm going to do here is work 8 orange stitches and 8 blue stitches. So I want to set up. So this technique requires a setup row and then a series of rows while you were using the ladderback jacquard, and then after the final long float is used, there's a resolving row that secures the ladderback column. So I'll set up, if I've got going to have 8 orange stitches and 8 blue stitches, I'll set up a ladderback column in between the first 4 and the last 4 in each color. So to do that, I'll work 4 of my orange stitches. And this will be a blue long float because I'm working 8 orange. So to set up with the blue, you bring both strands forward between the needles, and you use the blue strand to make a backwards loop cast on. Like so, a half hitch or an E cast on with just the blue, and then move both strands back to the back. This stitch looks like an extra stitch, but it is only on the wrong side. It's only going to be seen on the wrong side of the work. So you have to not count it when you are counting your stitches. And then the last 4 orange. And then I will begin my 8 stitches in blue. And I'll set up an orange ladderback float. So I'll work 4 blue stitches. And then to set up the orange, you bring both strands forward and make sure you are keeping these stitches loose so that your tension in the floats are an appropriate tension and not too tight. So both strands come forward, and then I will E-cast on. So I pull up a loop, put it on the right needle, and then move both strands back to the back. So there is now a cast on stitch in the orange. I will finish with the 4 blue stitches. Now I will work my 4 orange. Bring both yarns forward, E cast on with the blue like so. Bring both yarns to the back and finish the 4 stitches with the orange. Now once more with the blue, and I'm dropping my strands each time, but I'm still maintaining the dominance with the blue on the bottom and the orange on the top. So let me show you what this would look like if you are holding both in your left for continental. I need to bring both strands forward between the needle. I'm going to make an E cast on with the orange strand, and then bring both yarns back, and then resume with the blue. Then I have 4 stitches left here. I'm just going to work with the orange. I'm mimicking working flat, so I'm going to cut my working yarn, slide the stitches to the left needle tip, and join the working yarn to this row. So now if I'm continuing to work 8 orange and 8 blue and running a ladderback jacquard through the long floats, here's how you maintain that while you need the ladderback. You will work up to your ladderback stitch, and it sits here and looks like a little purl stitch or an extra little stitch thrown in there. So just pay attention or mark it if you need to. Both yarns come forward. And this is because we are essentially working double knitting here with the ladderback stitches on the wrong side of the work. So in order to sandwich the yarns in between our double layer of fabric, the yarns need to be brought forward between the needles, and then you use just the blue to purl that ladderback stitch, and then slip both strands back to the back. This sandwiches that orange underneath the ladderback stitch. And then resume the 4 orange stitches. Now I'm going to do 4 blue. There's my ladderback orange. I bring both strands forward. I use the orange to purl, and I bring both strands back, and then resume with my blue. Now I will switch to the orange. Let me show you continental. Actually, I'll show you one in each hand. So I have my dominant color in the left hand. The non-dominant color comes forward, the dominant color comes forward. I purl with the blue, slip it to the back, slip the orange to the back, and resume. with the orange. Continuing that for the blue, I will knit 4 blue, bring the blue forward, bring the orange forward, purl the orange, slip the orange back, slip the blue back, continue with the blue. Here's what it looks like on the wrong side. So not much to look at yet. The beginning of the ladder back is right there with that twisted loop, and that column of stitches is sitting right here. Working one more row. Knit 4 orange, both strands forward between the needles, purl with the blue, both strands back, continue with the orange. Switching to blue, 4 strands blue, both yarns forward, purl with the orange, both strands back, continue with the blue. Both strands forward, purl with the blue, both strands back, resume with the orange. Both strands forward, purl with the orange, both strands back, resume with the blue. Now you can start to see the ladder back columns on the wrong side of the work. They appear as a column of knit stitches since we are purling on the right side of the work. That's all there is to maintaining those columns in the columns where you need them. Feel free to add new ladder back columns when you are reaching new spots that have long floats, where those long floats will span several rows, and resolve them whenever you're done with them. So let me show you how you resolve these ladder back columns. Let's say I'm done with my blue and I'm ready to work a plain round with just orange. and I need to resolve these ladderback columns. So you work up to the ladderback stitch, and then you knit the ladderback stitch and the following stitch together. Just a regular knit two together. And we will do that for each ladderback stitch. And because I used purl stitches, they're easier to spot here. They look like little purl stitches sitting in between my columns of knit stitches. So I will knit together the ladderback stitch and the stitch following it. Here's my next ladderback stitch. I will knit those together. And here's my next. I will knit those together. This anchors those live stitches of the ladderback ladders, and they are anchored right there behind a stitch so that the ladderback stitch is not very visible. It's a little visible if I kind of pull the work, but it's sitting behind an entire stitch, as opposed to locking floats where the strands are visible in between the stitches as the stitches are stretched. So this method hides those locked floats a lot better than actually locking floats. So I highly recommend the Ladderback Jacquard method to secure long floats if you are worried about securing those long floats. So that's the Ladderback Jacquard method for knitting. Have you used this method before? What did you think of it? Let me know in the comments below. I hope this was helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.